I'm Chris Pass, and I'm running for Blount County School Board District Seat number 4. So I'm a local pastor here in the community, and over the last several years became aware of and became more involved in what was going on in our schools and what was going on with our teachers and the whole system. So I began to attend the Blount County School Board meetings on a monthly basis, have been for about 3.5 years now. And it just became apparent to me that I myself came under conviction to do more for our community, for our children, for our teachers, for all of the above, our 21 schools, central office. I just felt like the personal call that it was time for me to become involved and be a help to them. I have spent 40 years in the retail secular sector of the world. And so I've had a great life experience with different boards, committees, being able to bring people groups together and sit down and determine those goals and the challenges with them and work through them from both sides. Not just my perspective, but what's best for the entire group as we're trying to achieve the goal. And I have good experience in that. Sometimes those conversations or those meetings can get a little warm, but we've got to be able to work through that calmly and intelligently to come out to the best result. Now, I have a lot of experience in that, and I feel very confident in that arena. I've come to realize that the school board is setting the policies. Those policies first are handed down to us on a federal and state level, and then they're applied through the school board as they interpret those policies and how to put them best in place for our county. Then they're turned over to our director of schools for him to implement those procedures and across through our central office and through our schools. So first and foremost, we've got to be able to do a great job of each year evaluating the policies that are in place, interpreting the new policies that are coming in to do what's best for our educators, for our students, for our community schools. So I think that's role number one in that. But equivalent with that, I come as District 4's candidate, and my role is to represent my constituents, our community in District 4, our values in District 4 as a part of how we interpret and look at those policies and how they're going to affect our students, our teachers, and our community, not just for while I'm here now, but for us going forward for decades. Equity and excellence, those two resonate really loudly with me. We want to do the very best job we can, and I think they've done a great job of working in both of those areas, but I don't think we can get enough done there. I don't think we can ever stop looking at both of those and saying, how can we get more available to all of our students? How can we ensure that even those along the fringes are having an equal opportunity to get a great education and have a bright future available to them? And also in that, as we look at other school districts and look at their test scores and look at their curriculums and what they're doing better, how can we do a better job so that we have our students get the best, the most excellent opportunity that's out there and available? I think that's what all of our goals are. And I think that's what central office is after, obviously, our schools, our teachers, the school board should definitely, it should be after and hopefully are. And I think those two resonate the most with me. And I think off of them, a lot of these other concerns are byproducts or fruits of that. I was astonished or surprised when I began to attend school board meetings of how few attended the monthly school board meetings. I think it's one of the greatest areas that as I have opportunity, if I'm elected to that district position, to bring them together in an informal manner on a frequent basis. They are not coming to the school board meetings, they're not participating in the school board meetings. When I say they, I'm talking about parent and people of our community. And I think we need to first and foremost to help us go forward and be better connected, more confident in our public school system, a greater trust and relationship there. We have got to establish frequent in-person opportunities that are informal. That we can come together and they can have a cup of coffee and maybe a piece of pie and sit down across from each other and understand the challenges from both sides. And I think we can do that. I know from our community standpoint, we live in a special place, and I think people can. I think people can sit down and have great conversations about our greatest treasure, which is our students. One of those is, it's on the radar out there. It's not It's not been overly brought into us in our area. And that is the conversation now about charter schools, about vouchers for homeschool or private education. Public school here now, from my perspective, is starting to have competition. And I think that's one of the challenges going forward and why we're having that challenge. I think from a federal level on down, central office, our school board, and our schools are having to work hard and are going to have to work much harder going forward to make sure we have that confidence and that trust of the parents to conservatively educate our students. And I think that's part of that arena of that. And the public school system faces a lot of challenges that the private sector wouldn't face with equalities. We talk about that and excellence in that. And every student, every child having that same opportunity. And I know we talk about the public tax dollars being diverted to privately, but I want to say this. I know the dollars have to come into play, and it's one of the big challenges of having enough of a budget each year as we ask that question. But more importantly than that, the student. The student that's going to be swayed now whether to be privately educated or publicly educated. I grew up first grade through eighth grade at Union School with central offices, was educated here in our high schools. I'm a product of who we are as Blount County, and I believe in our public education system, but it's very competitive now. As you asked me that question, there are challenges to that now that didn't exist so much in the previous decades. We have got to take a look at the invisible elephant in the room of how homeschool is just growing at such great capacities, private school sectors, churches starting their own schools. There's a lot taking place there, and we need to be asking ourselves why.